The truth has a way of catching up with you, no matter how well you think you've buried it. I learned this the hard way. In a way I never imagined, with my darkest secret spilling out just days before my wedding to the man I claimed to love. And yet, even after everything, I still wanted to walk down that aisle. I still wanted to be his wife. How could I even think that, knowing the damage I'd done? It all started long before I met Ryan, my fiancé. I was in a different place in my life back then, young, reckless, and utterly lost. I'd been in a toxic relationship with a man named Eric who was nothing but bad news. He brought out the worst in me, and I let him. We were a storm, destructive and chaotic, and while I'd like to blame him for everything, the truth is I made my own choices. When I finally broke free of Eric, I vowed to leave that part of my life behind. I moved to a new city, started a new job, and promised myself I'd never let anyone drag me down again. That's when I met Ryan. He was everything Eric wasn't: kind, stable, loving. Ryan made me feel like I could be a better version of myself, like I deserved happiness. For the first time in years, I felt safe. Our relationship moved quickly. Within a year, he proposed, and I said yes without hesitation. I should have been over the moon, but there was a shadow hanging over my happiness. A part of me knew I hadn't been entirely honest with Ryan. There were things about my past I hadn't told him, things I was too ashamed to admit. I convinced myself it didn't matter. What mattered was the life we were building together, not the mistakes I'd made before him, or so I thought. The secret started to unravel a week before our wedding. We were in the middle of finalizing the seating chart when Ryan got a call from an unknown number. He stepped outside to take it, and when he came back, his face was pale. "Who's Eric?" he asked, his voice tight. My heart stopped. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I just got a call from someone claiming to be your ex," Ryan said, his eyes searching mine for answers. "He said I needed to know the truth about you before I married you." Panic set in. My mind raced as I tried to figure out what Eric had told him. I'd blocked Eric from my life years ago, but somehow he'd found a way to insert himself into my present. "Ryan, whatever he said, it's not true," I lied, hoping to shut the conversation down before it could go any further. But Ryan didn't let it go. "He told me you cheated on him, that you're not the person I think you are. Is that true?" The word cheat hung in the air like a blade, ready to drop. I felt the walls closing in around me. I could deny it, double down on the lies, but deep down, I knew it was time to face the truth. "Ryan," I said, my voice trembling, "there are things about my past I haven't told you, but none of it changes how much I love you." "Just tell me the truth," he said, his voice breaking. "Did you cheat on him?" I nodded, tears streaming down my face. "Yes, I did, but it was a long time ago, and I've changed. I'm not that person anymore." Ryan's expression was a mix of hurt and disbelief. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was ashamed," I admitted. "I didn't want you to see me the way I used to see myself. I've spent years trying to forget that part of my life, trying to be better. I thought if I could just leave it behind, it wouldn't matter." "But it does matter," Ryan said. "Not because of what you did, but because you lied to me. How am I supposed to trust you now?" His words cut deep because they were true. Trust was the foundation of our relationship, and I'd just shattered it. I wanted to beg him to forgive me, to promise him I'd spend the rest of my life proving I was worthy of his love. But I knew it wasn't that simple. The days leading up to the wedding were a nightmare. Ryan stayed with a friend, leaving me alone with my thoughts and regrets. I replayed every moment of our relationship, wondering if this was the end. Part of me wanted to call off the wedding, to save Ryan from the burden of my mistakes. But another part of me refused to give up. I loved him, and I believed we could get through this. When Ryan finally agreed to meet with me, I poured my heart out. I know I've hurt you, and I'll never forgive myself for that, I said. But I need you to know that my past doesn't define how I feel about you. You've shown me what real love is, and I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. How do I know you won't lie to me again? He asked, his voice raw. Because I've learned that secrets only cause pain, I said. I don't want to hide anything from you ever again. I want us to build a life together based on honesty, no matter how hard it is. Ryan didn't respond right away. The silence between us was heavy, filled with the weight of everything left unsaid. Finally, he looked at me and said, I need time to think. I gave him the space he needed, even though it was agonizing. Every passing day felt like a countdown to an uncertain future. I didn't know if he'd come back or if I'd lost him forever. All I could do was wait and hope that the love we shared was strong enough to survive this. When the day of the wedding arrived, I was prepared for the worst. I told myself that if Ryan didn't show up, I'd have no one to blame but myself. But when I walked into the venue, there he was, standing at the altar, waiting for me. As I walked down the aisle, my heart was in my throat. When I reached him, he took my hands in his and looked into my eyes. I've been doing a lot of thinking, he said. And while I'm still hurt, I can't imagine my life without you. I want to build a future with you, but only if we promise to be completely honest with each other from now on. Tears streamed down my face as I nodded. I promise, I said. No more secrets. Our wedding day wasn't the fairy tale I'd envisioned, but it was real. It was messy and imperfect, just like us. And as we exchanged our vows, I knew that while our journey wouldn't be easy, it would be worth it. Because love isn't about never making mistakes. It's about choosing each other, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Looking back, I'm grateful for the way everything unfolded. It forced me to confront the parts of myself I'd tried to bury, to be honest, not just with Ryan, but with myself. Our marriage isn't perfect, but it's built on a foundation of truth and resilience, and that to me is the greatest love story of all.